Alright guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. This is my first time doing this, so hopefully this turns out to be something interesting that you guys actually want to see. We're going to talk about our 3.0 diesel pulling truck today, and we're going to go over some stuff about truck and tractor pulling, and we're going to talk about what makes it a 3.0 diesel truck and what that actually means, and give you kind of a little walk around of the truck itself. So let's open her up and check it out. So the truck's a 1958 Dodge Power Wagon. It's got a newer Dodge chassis on it. It's a little dirty. It's been sitting all winter. It's currently February 1st, so I haven't even really thought about this thing since our last pass down the track, which was at the Harvest Havoc truck pull up in Ballston Spa, New York. We'll start up here at the business end. This is our 6.7 Cummins. It's got a deck plate. It's got a big P-pump on it by Northeast Diesel. The engine itself was built by Kastner's Performance, dynoed and all set up by those guys over there. This is the turbocharger. It's a 3-inch inlet. That's where the 3.0 comes from. This one here was built by Apex Turbo. Exhaust goes straight up. Front axle down here is a Rockwell F106. It's got 2.5 ton military outers. It's got a aluminum center chunk, billet spool, a bunch of goodies in there. Stuffed underneath here also is our, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little dark under here, single speed reverser, which goes directly to a SCS drop box, to a Rockwell 2145 mirrored rear end. This is a factory semi-truck rear end that's just been narrowed. It uses 2 short side axle shafts. These are factory hubs. We have an outer wheel, as you can see right here, that goes there. The hitch end. We have a couple different hitch setups for this. I'm going to try to talk about this thing a little bit and maybe go over some stuff, do some builds, show how it all works, and not give away too many secrets. Here's some more stuff to check out. We got I'll turn this on, it'll take a minute to boot up, but we got a Computech Datamax data logger, Android base tablet. This is the shifter, clutch, brake, and then our reverser has like a counter shaft brake, so you can shift it in and out of gear easier. I've been pulling since about 2012, I think it was. I built a black second gen Dodge. It started in the 2.6 class, which has eventually evolved into this class. This class is a 3-inch smooth inlet, which I'll show you in a minute. I can't show you the inlet to our current turbocharger, but I'll show you one of our older ones. The old 2.6 class was just basically, there was no rule as far as the wheel. There just had to be a 2.6 inch hole basically going in. There's people doing all sorts of tricks with map width grooves and all that kind of stuff. So they eventually changed the rules a couple times and have gotten to a 3.0 turbo. This is a old 3L Charger that we had, a Hartz turbo. It's got, as you can see, a 3-inch smooth inlet. These wheels are a little banged up here, but there's no map width grooves. It's just a 3-inch smooth inlet. So basically today we're gonna do some maintenance stuff. I haven't really decided what we're doing with this thing yet. We need to find more power. We do pretty good in Connecticut, Mass, and real Eastern New York, but if we travel anywhere, it's all over. We get our butts kicked pretty good. So, but maintenance is always a thing. I'm sorry about the background noise, our heater's running. But maintenance is always a thing. Been putting this off all winter. So we're gonna do, the rear end cover is leaking on the back. We do some fluids on the rest of the drivetrain, and maybe talk about pulling a little bit. So as you can see, this thing's been leaking pretty good. Oh yeah. Oh, gross. So she's got some metal in her. Let's see what's going on in there. Guess I didn't really need a second pail. But if I didn't bring a second pail, I would need a second pail. Of course, right in the pail. Alright, so let's take a look inside this thing. It's a big freaking ring gear is what it is. There's a good amount of metal coming out of that drain plug. I'm not super enthused about that. But I guess the way I drive it. gotta unlock the hubs to get this thing to turn. There it goes. I mean, I don't see any chipped teeth yet. Nothing really ground up. It could have been because I did do a ton of welding and grinding on this thing right before I put it in, and I haven't been into it since. It could be just debris. I think we're good. I'm gonna clean that thing up. I'll clean up our salad bowl. That's literally what this thing is. Got this from Performance Pros. It's probably a couple $100, but it's basically a salad bowl that we welded a bung into. So let's clean that thing up. Glue it up, stick it back on, filler. Done. I think I might let that thing drain overnight. Pull this plug back out, let it drip down. Try and get that as dry as possible. Yeah, there's still a bunch of oil in there. I think it's gonna be running for a while. gonna hit this with a little bit of thinner. A couple years ago I fixed my hitch, blew some paint on it quick, and of course it ended up all over the rear end. Oh yeah. All right, guys, I get it. This is some pretty basic and probably boring stuff. But if you're gonna win truck pulls, you gotta do the basic and boring stuff too. So, since we're waiting to figure out what we're gonna do with our engine and what we're gonna do with some of the other stuff, I figured it's a good time to do this sort of maintenance stuff that I know I'm gonna have to do anyways. This stuff is awesome. This stuff will seal anything. So we're gonna put a little bead of this around that rear end, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Maybe. There we go. Got a little impression in the housing right there from when I ground the factory cover off. These rear ends don't have a factory diff cover. They have a big welded on like dome on it, which I ground off, cut off with a torch and ground it off with a grinder. Because that dome weighs about 20 pounds and we put that little salad bowl thing on there, that thing weighs about a pound. So anytime you can save some weight, especially in the back, it's huge. It's really huge, even if it's just 20 pounds. Go a little thicker over there. Well, in case you couldn't tell, I just quick ran over and had to clean off these support pieces that I forgot to do before. I think we'll still be okay as far as setup goes for these, for this silicone. Also putting a little dab of silicone on these threads because I think it might have been leaking around the bolt holes just as much as it was leaking behind the cover, because the cover came off pretty hard. Probably could have gotten away with just pulling the bolts one at a time, but I got some time, I might as well do it right. Gonna run through and check them all by hand now. Must have missed that one. There we go. All right. There's that. We'll let that set up for a little while. We'll fill it. All right, so I ran and got some lunch. Went to Canaan Auto Supply. Got the absolute highest quality differential oil that I could possibly find. I don't even know what FVP stands for, but yeah. So this differential, this rear end takes. It's supposed to take 5 gallons, and gear oil is 8 pounds a gallon, 8 to 10 pounds a gallon. So we're gonna try cutting that capacity down. Last year I ran 4. I think we might try it with 2. I mean, realistically, there's a bunch of oil already out here at the hubs. Really, it just only needs to come up and get on the ring and pinion here. So we're gonna try it, see what happens. See how much of a freaking mess I can make here too with this stuff. I got the double funnel going on here. Don't worry, I'll set it up so you guys can see me fail miserably. It over. Good going. So the worst part about this thing is filling it. I guess I could probably get a pump or something, but where's the fun in that? Oh! All right, that was 2.5 gallons. That actually went pretty damn well, all things considering. A lot of guys don't even run that much oil in their rear ends. A lot of guys actually just run like a splash of oil. They'll run grease in the outer bearings out here instead of oil. Some guys actually use like an expanding spray foam, put it in the rear end just to take up space, similar to the stuff that you find at Home Depot maybe. So from there we're going to move on to that guy. So this thing here is a quick change transfer case. It's built by SES. Basically what you can do is it comes with a primary ratio and it comes with a set of change gears. It comes with 3 sets of change gears. We now have like, I don't know, 8 sets of change gears. And you can change the ratio from overdrive, underdrive. A lot of guys want their final drive ratio to be in the like somewhere around 10 to 12 to 1 ratio, and you can adjust that immensely with a transfer case like this. So let's get it draining. We'll talk about it. I got to pull that cover off to fill it, so let's start draining it and we'll go from there. Stuff looks brand new. It's not like it has any miles on it. Oh, look at that. That's why you do this stuff, so you can spot that. That's our drive shaft loop right there. That's supposed to protect you from this U-joint. If it ever blows up, keeps it contained. Uh-oh, we got a strip on there. Alright, so that one's stripped. Don't know how that happened, but we are into this thing every week, so. Could try to split the nut, or I think maybe try and pull that stud out is our best bet. Nope. So it seems like this nut is just spinning on the stud. I'm going to try to put a little pressure on this face, or this cover I should say, and turn this. See if it pushes it out. definitely going now. Oh yeah, whole stud's coming now. We're good. So we're into this thing every week. That's why stuff like this happens. We get into this, we go into this transfer case every single week to make a gear change. I would say, for the most part, it's very rare that we go from one track to another and not change gear. It's very rare that we pull on the same type of track 2 weeks in a row. As you can see, the back of the cover has 2 bearings in it. So yeah, that's why it gets so beat up. So this is what we're talking about with change gears. These guys just slide right off like that. You can swap them. Maybe. Come on. Well, maybe I can put this one up first. Swap them like that. Now you've got an underdrive. Think about it like the small gear is going to turn more times than the large gear to make one turn. So like I said, I have a whole bunch of different gear sets. We're in here almost every week. This thing gets the crap beat out of it. Apparently it's just being temperamental today. There we go. So that's how that works. There's a big bull gear down here. That's your primary gear. That's your main ratio. Oil's done draining. I put the plug back in. Now it's time to fill it. This one I actually do care about what kind of oil goes in it. As you can see, it came out perfectly clean, but it gets the tar beat out of it. And on top of that, it's always dirty because we always have this cover off and we're never in a good environment. It also has a breather up top. So stuff gets in there. These stupid bags. When did they start going to bags? It's gotta be the dumbest thing ever. It doesn't even have the top cut off. What the hell? So stupid. This thing only takes 1.5 quarts. Man, that bag is so dumb. That is so dumb. Why would anybody like that better? Talk about freaking cheap. There we go. There we go. It's actually not too bad. Just gonna take the stupid nozzle off. It's dumb. I still think that's dumb. Where's even the sight glass? Doesn't even have a sight glass on it. That's so dumb. I guess that's about 1/2 quart. Maybe we'll give it a little more of a shot. There we go. I don't know. You tell me. Why'd they go to these bags? Dumb. Dumbest thing ever. Alright, we're going to put that cover back on. Try to keep it clean. but I definitely need to at least get one new stud and nut. I'll probably get a whole bag of studs or nuts, I should say. Maybe I'll get a bag of studs and nuts from McMaster. That's where I get most of my hardware from. They have everything, all these oddball, like those weird flanged serrated nuts. Not that that's really that weird, but kind of live out here in the sticks, so I don't have a Fastenal or a bolt place of any sorts locally, so we just order from McMaster. Okay, there's that one. The other thing I like to do is actually physically write on here what I used for oil and when I did it. So it's just a little reminder to myself. So we'll try to clean that off. And then, well, fill it. Right full, I should say. Do the same thing on the rear end here. Alright, well I had filmed a whole section on that front end while I was draining it, but I didn't realize I had it in time warp mode. So, here's a little bit about this front end. This is an F-106 Rockwell. They came in like the F600 size trucks, medium duty, usually with juice brakes for a rear. There was an F-106 front axle that was called an FDS 75 or an FDS 90, depending on the GVW. 7,500 pound or 9,000 pound. So I couldn't find one of those when I was building this. I mean, I could, but it was crazy money. They're big money to build. So I actually just took out here 2.5 ton Rockwell stuff for the outers and welded it to the F-106. So that's a 2.5 ton Rockwell axle housing out here, knuckle. Yeah, she's a little damp. That's an F-106 center. All the 2.5 ton Rockwell stuff is way cheaper than the FDS stuff because all the mud truck guys use them. So that was a big thing. I was able to get some nice aluminum hubs. The brakes I made myself because all the mud truck guys use a pinion brake. And I can't do that. Nor did I really want to do that. God forbid I had the hubs unlocked. So that's that for the front end. It also has full hydraulic steering. Yeah, that's real close to the oil pan, but it doesn't touch, I promise. There's those Wellwood brakes. The brackets came from Performance Pros. It's actually made for an FDS 75, but it fits a 2.5 ton. Really close as far as the actual externals of it go. The internals are different. This one has a 16 spline, coarse spline, U-joint style shaft from 2.5 ton. The FDSs were 19 spline or a real fine 34 spline, same diameter. Either way, it's 1 5/8 inches versus 1 3/4 inch axle shaft. I'm not going to break that up here. A lot of guys run a Dana 60 or an AAM style front end. I could have, but I always like to overbuild. This thing may be a little heavy up here, but at the end of the day, knock on wood, I'm knocking on my head. Knock on wood, I've never broken it. I've never had to go in it. I've run this thing for 3 years now. The fluid came out perfect. And if I wanted to, I could bolt cuts on it. Because I have a feeling that's where the class is going. I do have locking hubs, which are kind of nice. I mean, it's got a spool in it, so you know that when the hubs are locked and everything, it's fully engaged. There's a lot of advantages to it, I think, over the AAMs or the Dana axles, or even like a hybrid Dana 80, 60. Some guys are doing that now where they use a Dana 80 center or an AAM 11.5 center and use Dana 60 outers. You're still limited to the Dana 60 like ball joints and wheel bearings and stuff. This thing's got big ass kingpins, big ass knuckle. Those axle tubes are like, I don't know, 1/2 inch thick or something. Yeah, it's definitely heavier, but it's stout. It's not going to break. So that's that. While we're under here, I'll see if I can fish a bolt into this U-joint shield. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that because it looks like the threads are pulled out of what I had in there. Might be able to fish something. Let's see what we can do. That's going to be difficult. Need one of those things they used to sell at the gimmick stores. It was like this magnet thing that went on your wrench. Might be able to come up with something. Fish this. Fishing. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky. I bet I'm going to knock it off at least 2 or 3 times before it actually goes in. Oh, oh, oh. Oh yeah. Ah. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I got lucky with that. Oh, I got lucky. And we put a nylock nut on it. These trucks, they take so much abuse. Realistically, you're gonna have nuts and bolts come loose. Like, that's literally all it boils down to. If you Loctite or put a nylock nut on them, you're doing a lot better. But there's some places you can't. I don't know why I never did this in the first place, because this is gonna be way better. And I don't think I'll ever have to F with it ever again after I do this. But we'll see, who knows? I mean, this is a high vibration spot. That's the problem. Everything's got so much vibration. Come on, come on. I know you can do it. You're almost there. Literally, you just have to basically babysit every nut and bolt on this damn thing. Ugh. That one's not going in. It's probably because I didn't hog it with the drill. There, now she'll go in. Just gotta get her out. All right, let's see what we can do. There we go. She's in there. Oh yeah. All right. That ain't gonna come loose anymore, I hope. Just gonna suck when I gotta take that front drive shaft out. All right, so I'm gonna clean up and wrap up today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope this provided a little bit of intel as to what goes into a 3.0 diesel pulling truck. I'd like to do a little bit more content this year. And maybe some wrenching on the truck, work on the engine. That's what everybody wants to see, I'm sure. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to show you, but we'll see what we can do. And then maybe some content as far as like actually going to events. I have my Kenworth hauler that I'm going to need to do some work on this year before we go. A little bit of content for how this thing works and how we actually get it set up to go down the track. It's a lot of work for a little bit of fun. I mean, like months and months of prep for like, I don't know, 12 seconds or whatever. I don't know, maybe we do like 30 seconds. Either way, it's kind of dumb. but it's fun. We have a nice pulling family. Everybody we're involved with, it's just, they're great people. And very, very little drama, a lot of hanging out, a lot of having fun. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like or comment or subscribe if you do like this stuff, and I will continue posting. Thanks.